What is horror? A feeling, an aesthetic, and so on. This is a question I asked in my last video, which was about the South Korean horror film, The Wailing. You should be able to find a link to that somewhere on the screen or in the description.
So, as I continue this, the spookiest of months, I continue to ask, what is horror for me personally? By asking, should you play World of Horror?
World of Horror is an early access video game inspired by old RPG and adventure PC video games, also inspired by the works of H.P. Lovecraft and Junji Ito. With the game having adventure and RPG elements, it's worth also noting the game is a roguelite, with the game designed to do multiple runs with randomised elements in each run. The game takes place in Shiokawa, Japan, if I'm saying that correctly.
Shiokawa.
Set in the mysterious year 1980X, the old gods have awakened, causing madness to spread, and all manner of strange events to take place in the town and its surrounding areas. Will the once peaceful town spiral into madness, or will it just lay bare the madness that already exists? When starting a run, you can choose between 5 playable characters that all have their own unique abilities, starting items, and backgrounds. For example, one playable character is an idol, and one playable character is a Yakuza member. It's also possible to unlock more characters while playing the game. The main objective of the game is to get 5 keys to enter the mysterious lighthouse. To receive a key, you must solve a mystery. So the aim of each run is to solve 5 mysteries, so you can do the final part of the run, the lighthouse. When you start a run, you'll first find yourself in your apartment, where you also find yourself in between mysteries. In the apartment, you can shower and get a small bit of XP or heal some health. The apartment also lets you change your outfit if you so desire. The most important thing is you can choose what mystery to do. When starting a run, you'll be given 5 mysteries that you can choose to do in any order. So, you picked your character and mystery, now what? Well, for most mysteries, you'll be taken to this screen. In the top of the screen, you'll see information related to your mystery. In the middle of the screen, you'll see a number of locations that you can visit. The game will circle the next relevant location you need to visit to continue the mystery. To the right of locations, you'll see a specific objective to help with your mystery. Since we're looking at that screen, let's talk about some other things you're gonna wanna know. First, there's the 2 big numbers on the right of your screen that represent your stamina and reason, which both act as your 2 different health meters. Run out of either of them and it's game over. Also, you'll notice a little thing that says Doom and the percentage. If that reaches 100%, your run will also be over. So let's explore the location it suggests on the map. Before we see where that takes us, a quick side note. Some locations are things you can do besides exploring, such as visiting shops or recruiting allies. You can even go home and rest. So back to the matter at hand. Exploring the locations that circled will advance your progress in the mystery. When you explore a location, you can have an event or an encounter. An event can range to a number of different things and have a variety of different outcomes. When an event happens, you'll be given 2 to 3 choices. Some choices are only available if you meet certain criteria. Say having a certain item, for example. The success of your choice is done by a mix of your skill and the invisible roll of the dice in the background. The outcome of an event can result in you receiving an item or losing or gaining your stamina or reason. Some outcomes can even add more doom to your percentage. The other possible thing events can lead to is encounters. Encounters are the RPG fights of the game. Combat to World of Horror takes the form of turn-based combat, but as you can see it's a bit different than our typical turn-based combat. You have a meter you fill up on your turn from the actions you choose. Each action has a different value. There are lots of actions you can take. Way too many to go through here, but here's a few of them. You've got your various attack options you can do, depending on the weapon you currently hold. There are also defensive actions like block and run away. You can scrounge for a weapon if you do not have one. There are special options like sever, bow, and fray, which you can use on certain enemies. There are also spells that can do a variety of different things. Enemies have HP, which is visible on the left side of the screen. Enemies can deal damage to your stamina, reason, or maybe even both. Some enemies will do doom damage. That will raise your doom counter. Kill enemies by lowering the HP to 0. Easy peasy. But hey, let's talk about the game's aesthetics. The game has a very unique art style, where the sprites were apparently drawn in MS Paint. You can also choose from a number of different palettes, which you have probably seen me switching between throughout the video. When using the black and white style, it invokes its manga inspirations. You can even have a colour palette inspired by the original Game Boy. Now we have an idea of the game's looks, gameplay, and structure. Let's get back to the horror of World of Horror. Well, how is the horror considering it's a turn-based game? Most horror games you probably think of have some form of action and will not be turn-based. World Horror has to make its horror a little more subdued and focus on its atmosphere, and slowly building up said horror. A good way to build an atmosphere is with the setting. Setting a game in a small coastal town is a horror staple. The game wears those references on its sleeve to help immerse you in its horror setting. The game helps build its horror with an underlying sense of dread. The game does not have many jump scares, but it does try to become unpredictable to throw you off. There are some events in the game where just nothing really happens, just to throw you off your game. You'll find some mysteries that completely change up the structure from a normal mystery, by taking you to a completely new location or keeping you stuck in one location. The other factor that keeps things tense is your dwindling resources, mostly from your 2 health meters, which have limited options to replenish them. There's also the doom percentage, that is constantly threatening to end your run if it reaches 100%. If you poorly plan and prepare for combat encounters, you can easily find your run end prematurely. But there is one big caveat to the game, and that is the game is in early access, with updates being kinda slow. With as I'm writing this, the last update being December last year, which is understandable considering the game has only one developer. There is currently a fair amount of content in the game to make it worthwhile, but I do feel the game needs a bit more content before its full release. That's something to consider before picking up the game. So, if World of Horror sounds like something you might be interested in, give it a shot, or don't. That's up to you, the viewer.
And now with that video over, I guess we wait for the spooky thing to happen. Spooky thing's gonna happen. subscribe.